Roman Reigns has finally spoken, and what he claims happened in Paris is shaking the wrestling world to its core. The tribal chief has delivered what many are calling the most controversial interview of his career, lifting the lid on events surrounding Clash in Paris that fans were never meant to question. This isn't being framed as a simple wrestling angle or a moment that went too far. According to Roman, what unfolded that night was deliberate, calculated, and designed to remove him from the top of WWE for good. If you finish this video without feeling unsettled, then you weren't paying attention. Show your support, stay locked in, and understand this clearly. The story you thought you knew about Paris is being completely rewritten. Speaking from a hospital room, still recovering from serious injuries, Roman Reigns described an experience he says changed everything. He insists the actions of Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed weren't fueled by adrenaline or competition, but by intent. According to Roman, this was never about winning or sending a message in the ring, it was about ending his run entirely. They weren't trying to outwork me, Roman said quietly. They were trying to erase me. Footage from Clash in Paris has already disturbed fans worldwide, but Roman claims what cameras captured was only part of the story. He alleges the level of force used crossed boundaries the industry has never properly addressed. The image of him being removed on a stretcher barely responsive has already become one of the most talked about moments in recent WWE history. What stunned fans most, however, was Roman's claim that the incident wasn't spontaneous. He says the groundwork was laid weeks before the event. According to him, Braun Breaker approached him backstage under the guise of respect, asking questions, seeking guidance, presenting himself as a student of the business. Roman says he agreed to mentor him, believing he was helping shape the next generation. "I thought I was investing in the future," Roman said. "Instead, I was giving someone access." Roman claims that during this same period, Bronson Reed was quietly brought into the picture through off-camera conversations and discreet meetings. Reed, who had reportedly been frustrated with his position on the roster, was allegedly promised opportunity and visibility in exchange for involvement. Roman insists the situation was manipulated to exploit ambition and resentment. The night of the incident, Roman says he believed he was heading into a routine backstage segment, nothing unusual. No warning. That's when, according to his account, everything changed. He claims the first blow came from behind, without explanation, and what followed felt less like performance and more like chaos. "I knew something was wrong almost immediately," Roman explained. "By the time I understood what was happening, I couldn't protect myself." Roman alleges the assault continued far beyond what anyone would consider acceptable and that it escalated when Bronson Reed joined in. He describes being overwhelmed, disoriented, and unable to defend himself as repeated impacts took place. Medical evaluations later revealed injuries far more serious than initially believed. Roman states that doctors identified fractured ribs, significant head trauma, internal complications, and spinal damage that could have resulted in permanent consequences had circumstances been slightly different. "They told me timing saved my life," Roman said. "Minutes mattered." Roman claims he drifted in and out of consciousness during transport, while medical staff scrambled to stabilize him. He says the situation was severe enough that multiple emergency contingencies were activated behind the scenes. What troubles him most, however, isn't just what happened but what followed. According to Roman, concerns had already been raised prior to the event. He says he reported threatening messages and unusual activity to security, including communications that referenced private details about his travel and schedule. He claims those concerns were dismissed. After the incident, Roman says he launched his own inquiry alleging that sensitive information about his movements had been shared internally. He insists this wasn't about reckless behavior, it was about planning. Things took a darker turn, Roman says, when he regained consciousness. Instead of being greeted by reassurance, he claims legal representatives appeared with documents aimed at controlling the narrative. "They wanted silence," Roman said, "not answers." Roman alleges he was pressured to accept a version of events that minimized what happened, and warned that speaking openly could affect his career. He claims suggestions were made questioning his clarity and memory due to head trauma, a claim he strongly disputes. Equally painful, Roman says, was the reaction from the locker room. He expected support. Instead, he describes avoidance, distance, and fear. According to him, only a small number of peers reached out privately while others stayed silent out of concern for their own standing. The impact extended beyond the ring. Roman says his family was deeply affected after footage circulated online without warning. He describes heartbreaking conversations with his children and ongoing anxiety within his household. Recovery, both physical and mental, has been relentless. Roman admits to ongoing therapy, limited mobility on some days, and emotional aftershocks that continue to surface unexpectedly. As part of his investigation, Roman claims communication records and financial movements suggest coordination surrounding the incident. He says the deeper he looked, the more he became convinced this wasn't personal. It was financial power, money, and control over the main event scene, according to Roman, were the real motivations. Public responses from those involved only intensified scrutiny. Roman points to online statements and interviews that he believes showed a lack of accountability and empathy. Meanwhile, WWE's official stance, according to Roman, focused on moving forward quickly. He claims there was little urgency to fully investigate and pressure to resume business as usual. Legal action is now underway. Roman confirms he has assembled a team experienced in workplace safety and contractual disputes. He insists this isn't about compensation, it's about accountability. "This doesn't stop with me," Roman said. "If it can happen here, it can happen anywhere." The situation has drawn attention far beyond WWE. International media, medical professionals, and industry voices have weighed in, questioning safety standards and oversight. Roman says authorities treated the incident seriously, something he feels the company failed to do. As support grows, so does resistance. Online debates rage, narratives clash, and pressure mounts. Roman maintains that evidence, medical records, footage, testimony speaks louder than speculation. In the final moments of his interview, Roman hinted at further revelations. He claims there are recordings, documents, and communications that have yet to be made public, and that when the time is right, they will be. "They thought I'd disappear," Roman said. "They were wrong. This story is far from finished. Whether you see this as a warning, a controversy, or a turning point, one thing is clear: the fallout from Paris is still unfolding. What do you think? Was this a breakdown of control, or something more calculated? Should accountability go further than it has? Drop your thoughts below. Subscribe for updates. Because if Roman Reigns is right, this isn't just a chapter, it's the beginning of a reckoning. As the fallout from Roman Reigns' interview continues to spread, the wrestling industry is now facing a level of scrutiny it hasn't seen in years. What began as one man speaking out has evolved into a broader examination of how power, silence, and fear operate behind the curtain of sports entertainment. Industry insiders say the reaction inside WWE has been far more chaotic than the public statements suggest. According to multiple sources, emergency meetings were held in the days following Roman's interview, with executives scrambling to contain the narrative and assess potential legal exposure. Morale backstage, insiders claim, has dropped sharply as performers question whether their own safety concerns would be taken seriously if something went wrong. Roman, meanwhile, has remained firm. He says attempts were made to privately resolve the situation, but only under conditions that required him to soften or retract parts of his account. Those attempts, according to Roman, failed immediately. "I won't negotiate the truth," he stated. What's becoming increasingly clear is that Roman's situation has opened a door for other performers to quietly speak up. Several wrestlers, past and present, have allegedly provided statements to third parties describing environments where pressure, intimidation, and blurred lines between storyline and real-world conduct were normalized. None have gone public yet, but the volume alone suggests this is not an isolated grievance. Veterans of the industry have begun weighing in as well. Some defend WWE's structure, arguing that wrestling has always required trust and controlled risk. Others counter that the business has evolved, and safety standards must evolve with it. One former champion put it bluntly, "If performers don't feel protected outside the ring, the system is broken." Roman's legal team has also clarified that their strategy extends beyond a single incident. They are reportedly examining whether broader patterns exist, including how complaints are handled, how security protocols are enforced, and whether contractual power imbalances discourage reporting. This approach suggests that whatever happens next could ripple across the entire industry, not just one company. The financial implications alone are staggering. Analysts have noted increased volatility in WWE-related markets following the controversy, with sponsors and international partners closely monitoring developments. Roman's name, once synonymous only with dominance and box office appeal, is now tied to a conversation about ethics, responsibility, and corporate accountability. Social media remains deeply divided. Supporters argue that Roman has nothing to gain by speaking out and everything to lose. Critics claim the story is exaggerated or strategically timed. What neither side can deny is the scale of attention. This is no longer just a wrestling storyline debate. It's a reputational crossroads. Roman has addressed the skepticism directly. "I expected disbelief," he said. "That's how silence survives. People are trained to doubt the person who breaks it." Privately, Roman's family has reportedly encouraged him to continue, despite the strain. He credits them as his anchor during recovery, saying their support outweighs the pressure from any corporation or public opinion storm. He has also acknowledged the emotional toll, not just of what happened, but of reliving it repeatedly as the story spreads. Medical professionals continue to emphasize that recovery timelines for injuries like Roman's are unpredictable. While progress has been made, they caution against rushing a return to full physical performance. Roman has said he refuses to compromise his long-term health for optics or schedules. "I gave everything to this business," he said. "Now I'm choosing to protect what's left." Behind the scenes, other promotions are watching closely. Some have begun publicly highlighting their safety policies, while others are quietly reassessing protocols. Whether out of genuine concern or strategic positioning, the industry response signals one thing: Roman's revelations have forced a conversation no one can ignore. The possibility of formal investigations, internal or external, remains unresolved. Roman's legal team has neither confirmed nor denied additional actions, but they have made it clear that more information will surface when appropriate. That uncertainty has only heightened tension. For fans, this moment represents a shift. Wrestling has always thrived on blurred reality, but Roman's story challenges where that line should exist. When does performance end and responsibility begin? And who decides? Roman closed his most recent statement with a message not just to management, but to performers everywhere. "Your voice matters," he said, "even when they try to convince you it doesn't." As this situation continues to unfold, one thing is undeniable: the era of quiet acceptance is being challenged. Whether Roman Reigns ultimately returns to the ring or not, his impact on the industry may already be irreversible. This isn't just about what happened in Paris. It's about what happens next and who has the courage to face it. And if more names, more evidence, and more truths emerge, the wrestling world may never look the same again.